Hello there, my stamping friends. Susan here with Pumpkin Hill Stampers. So I have a stamping show and tell project to share with you today, and basically in this video I'm just going to be doing the stamping bit and then show you how I'm using them to make multiple cards. So today's project was inspired by Angie McKenzie, and today is for the Stamping with Friends blog hop for November. So this challenge for this blog hop was to copy and selectively edit a project from a fellow demonstrator that you admire or that you really like the project that they've shared in the past. So I'm mimicking a project that Angie shared in a previous blog hop with us, and I will put the links to her projects that I'm casing in my blog post. So you can go to my blog post and see all the materials I'm using. I'll have all the pictures of the different projects I'll show you near the end, and how you can hop along with our blog hop if you would like to. Okay, so you obviously can see I've got an 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock here that I've stamped. I'm going to show you the process of doing this. I'm using the Art Gallery stamp set for my images, and I'm tying in this little texture stamp here from the Forever Fern. So sometimes you'll have a stamp in a second stamp set that gives you just a little bit of detail. So I'm doing that with this project. Okay. So the idea is that you stamp one sheet of 8.5 by 11, or you could stamp a 12 by 12, and then you cut it up to make multiple card friends. Okay, so let's do the stamping first, and then I'll show you the cards that I have done. Alright, so I am using Parakeet Party for my green and Sweet Sorbet for my pink, because they're new in colors and I've barely used them. Actually, my Parakeet Party wasn't even opened yet, so I wanted to use some new colors, and I wanted to do something bright and different, not just do holiday themed stuff. And then I was able to pair in some fun embellishments that are color coordinated for that, so I was kind of excited to do that. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do, this is kind of the way I processed it, is we have our sheet, and because I know I want to cut it into multiple cards, I'm using my grid paper, and I'm going to split it I'm going to put 4 inches on one side of my center, which is 8, and I'll put the balance, the 4.5 inches over here, because when I end up cutting it, I'll end up with 2 cards that have panels this way, and I'll have 3 cards that go that way. So I kind of want a center line, but I don't necessarily want it in the center of my cardstock. You can do yours differently, so you know, whatever suits you or suits your stamps is fine, but this is the way I did it. So I'm starting with my Parakeet Party, and I'm just going to stamp some random-ish stems and leaves. Okay, now because they're stems and leaves, right, they're kind of directional and they're going to end up with flowers on the end of them, but I also kind of want them for color, right, for a second color. So I'm not really too worried about my exact placement, and they could overlap a little, right, they could be a little more in one place or another, just to kind of fill it in. And then the second color, the Sweet Sorbet, is a nice dark pinky red, so it's going to cover up these greens just fine. We're not going to worry about it. Alright, so there's my stems for that. So now I'm going to come in with my Sweet Sorbet, and I'm going to do some stamping off to lighten my color, because this is a 2-step stamp image from Art Gallery, so I'm going to use the full image stamped off so it's lighter, and then I'm going to come in with a detailed image without stamping it off. So I'm going to stamp it off. You can stamp it off a couple times depending on how dark your ink is, and I got the corner smudge there. And then I'm going to put this down right near a stem. Okay, and then I'm going to do it again. So kind of where I ended up putting my stems is where I'm going to put these big bold flowers, right? And because it's not going to be in one project necessarily, I'm not too concerned about position or placement, right? So this is just kind of fun free-for-all stamping at this point. So just moving up and down my cardstock and filling in images. And they can overlap, right? It's fine. It's just like our DSP. It's like stamping your own DSP. It's just more random because it's you and it's not, you know, some artist doing the painting. let's see, I feel like I want a little more red here, and maybe I want another one there. I think I want another one there. Okay, so now I'm going to come in with the detailed one. Now this time I'm not stamping off, and this one I'm just going to go over the top, and it doesn't have to be on all of them. So if you want to pick the lighter ones, or if you do want to do them all, right, it's your project. You decide to stamp it the way you want to. No one is going to say you've done it wrong. And after you end up cutting it up, you might decide, oh, I really want more, you know, color or whatever on there. Now this stamp set has this also little fun kind of a center. So you could alternate and put the center in some of them instead. I'm going to do that twice. There. Okay, so there's that. Now I'm going to add a little more green. Now we've got this second stamp. Now this one has actually leaves and flowers, but I'm going to try to only stamp in the green, not the pink. I'm only going to try to stamp the leaf part. So I'm just kind of inking the edge. And I'm going to come in and do some more green filler in here. Just for a little more texture, a little more color in here. Right, and I'm not worried about my directions, I'm just filling the space. Right, I'm just filling the space. Alright, so there's some more green. And then we have this other bloom, smaller bloom, and I'm just going to come in and put some smaller blooms in here, where I've put some of those extra stems. Right, so really, there's no rhyme or reason here, right? I've done 3 of them so far, and they're all very unique and different, and I didn't worry about placement too much. I just wanted to stamp and fill my sheet, but at the same time I wanted to leave white space so that when I put them on card fronts I can add sentiments, right? Or I can add tags or ribbons or bows or whatever. Now this is the little texture piece that I've got from the Forever Fern, and this one I'm just going to do in black, and I'm just kind of going to add some texture filler spots, right? And again, it doesn't really matter. I haven't cut it up yet. I don't know what's going to get used for what card. I'm just adding some filler, a third color. It doesn't even have to be black. You could use, you know, a brown or a metallic, whatever you want to use. And they don't have to be all inside. They can be outside, right? Outside of our stamped image. And they can be off the edge. So a lot of times we talk about active stamping, where active edge stamping, where we have a smaller piece, which is going to be the card front, and we stamp from the edges in, so you don't see the full image. By stamping it like this and then cutting it up, you're getting that active edge technique as well. Only you're going to get 5 cards out of this, or as many as you cut it up into, instead of just 1. Okay, so there's that. So now look at the 2 I have side by side. Similar, but different. This one I have a lot more white space in. This one is much more full. So each one's going to be a little bit different. It's kind of a fun little technique to do. Now I'm just going to cut one of them up for you to show you how I get 5 card fronts out of this. Okay, so like I said, we kind of have our center line. So here's my paper cutter, and yes, I have one of the old chopping cutters. So what I did is I'm going to cut one side at 3.5. So 3.5, nope, at 4.5, cutting at 4.5. And these are going to be the cards that in my mind I might think about doing on the horizontal. And then I've cut this down into 3.5. So 4.5 by 3.5. And I'm going to get 3 different sections with just a little bit of scrap. Okay, and then this one, think of a long one. I typically cut my fronts to be 4 by 5.25. So let's see what I end up here, because I went 4.5. So I've got 4, so I could go 5.25. I'm just going to go 5.5 to start. Okay, 4 by 5.5, and then I'm going to trim off kind of the, well, you know what? Choices. I could cut off the more stamped end, or I could cut off the more bare end. I'm going to cut off the bare end, so that's 4 by 5 1/4, and I'll do the same. No, I'm going to cut out the more active one here. 4 by 5 1/4. Okay, so, and of course you could cut these down differently, you know, whatever. This is all the scrap I have from that piece, okay? And I'm actually letting it go. So I have my 2 pieces like this, and then I have my 3 pieces like this. And then can you see, you can take all of those and make 5 cards that would be similar, right? You could use the same embellishments, you could use the same stamp set to do your sentiments, or you could just make a bunch of blank cards that are waiting for sentiments and use them as you need them. Or note cards or gift cards, whatever you wanted to do. But they're similar, but each one is unique because they're not the same, right? You didn't sit and do, you know, you didn't cut all your pieces like this and then stamp it and then stamp it and then stamp it. They're not exactly the same. They're different, which is really fun. Okay, so those, that's the project that I decided to case from Angie, and I really think it's fun, and you could do it with any stamp set, right? She did hers with the Holly stamp set from the catalog. I did it with the art gallery, and I'm sure if you had other floral or holiday type cards, stamp sets, you could do them as well. Alright, so I'm going to show you some cards that I put together from my first go. So I've used the coordinating ribbons. This one's in the Parakeet Party, and there's another one in the Sweet Sorbet. I like that Parakeet Party. I used it on 3 of them. So I've done 3 on black. I mounted them on the Parakeet Party, put them on black cardstock. This one I used the dies from the art gallery that says "Just Wanna Say," and then these are the sentiments. Okay, so I just dressed them all up and mounted them from the ones I got. So there's one, right, and I did some stamping for the inside so that they're all decked out. Really nice. And then I have 2 that I put on Parakeet Party, and these open up and down. Right, I did some inside stamping. And here I used the Parakeet Party ribbon, and I did some die cut flowers to do an embellishment on that one. And I did the other die cut flower here with a ribbon for this one. So really fun. So I had a lot of fun practicing the technique first and then prepping the cards to show you. All the projects, all the pictures, and the details of what I did for each one will be on my blog post, so you can hop over and see that. And leave me a comment here, or thumbs up, or subscribe to the channel if you're interested in more projects that I do. And then be sure to hop over to the blog and do the blog hop so you can see all the different fun case cards that we did for you this month. Alright everybody, I hope that helps some of you do something new and different, or inspire you to try something new. And I will see you again real soon with my next project. Have a great day and do some fun stamping. Bye.